We'll bring it to you live. We do continue to pray for all of the victims, all of their families tonight. Everyone needs to take a very close look at all of these events tonight on multiple continents, and we need to reflect on what is happening here. It is very clear that the United States and the world have returned to a pre-9/11 mindset. Let's go back to 9/11/01. 2,977 Americans killed that day. Many more killed from 9/11 related illness that is very real. Now, if you go back to the 9/11 Commission report, they did conclude the following. Radical Islamists were at war with the United States. They list all the examples that led up to 9/11, and we were not at war with them. We let our guard down. Tonight, that admonition appears to be all but forgotten. Radical Islamists, they are at war with Western civilization on multiple continents, as we are reporting. And sadly, as we all know too well, what happened here in Sydney is not an isolated incident. Here is the cold, hard truth that a lot of people do not want to say. This is all the predictable result of radical Islamists. Year after year, decade after decade, we see the same thing. No matter the country, no matter the laws, no matter the local population, generosity, if you import radical Islamists with their open borders policies, if you have no vetting to see if they have radical associations, if you embrace liberal immigration policies, or in the case of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, wide open borders, terrorism will almost inevitably follow. How many times have I said on this program, not a matter of if, it is when we will be the victim of another terrorist attack. Innocent people will die. They will have blood on their hands, but people don't have to die. It's the most preventable national security disaster, the 4 years of Biden-Harris in our country's history. In Germany, a recent terror attack at a Christmas market thankfully was thwarted after multiple similar attacks in previous years. Now, Christmas markets across Europe, all across Europe, they have had open borders, very liberalized immigration policies. They have now all been fortified with armed guards, reinforced infrastructure, anti-vehicle ramming installations instead of, Christmas lights and big crowds and fun and singing and caroling, and other critical security measures take its place. They're turning joyful Christmas markets into forts. Why? Because of their radical Islamists that they welcomed with open arms into all of these European countries, and right here in this country, but Europe in particular, decades of open immigration policies. That includes the continent of Australia as well. Paris is even now reportedly canceling their in-person New Year's Eve bash that draws millions every year, all because of the threat of terrorism and the rise of violent extremism that they have allowed to enter their country unvetted. And don't for one second think that we in this country are immune from that risk. We don't even know half of who Biden, Harris, Mayorkas led into this country. According to the National Counterterrorism Center, as testified in Congress last week, as a matter of fact, there are 18,000 known suspected terrorists that are currently living right now in the United States. What do you think they're doing? I would argue they're probably plotting and planning and scheming an attack on our homeland. And after 4 years of Biden open borders, that number probably doesn't even scratch the surface. How do you calculate those that, the gotaways that we don't even know exist, supposedly? And that's not all. According to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, again, last week, she reported at least 2,000 so-called Afghan refugees that Biden let into the country. 2,000 of those have terrorism ties. And now the risk profile around the world is even worse. Since the 2023 October 7th attacks, anti-Semitism, it has exploded. It has gone unchecked around the world. It has gone unchecked in the halls of Congress. It has gone unchecked on college campuses. Radical anti-Semites have used Israel as an excuse to openly hate Jews and call for, quote, Global Intifada. Sound familiar? Or globalize the Intifada. In fact, just 2 days after Jewish people were brutally attacked and abducted by Hamas, this is October 9th, 2023, radical Islamists in Australia took to the streets outside of the famous Sydney Opera House, chanting, "Where are the Jews? Gas the Jews. F the Jews." Take a look. In light of that, after October 7, 23, does what happened over the weekend shock you? Australia's government largely turned a blind eye to this horrific, unacceptable behavior and continued to welcome hardline Islamists into their country. As Miranda Devine eloquently put it in the New York Post today, Australia allowed Jewish hatred to fester with cowardly appeasement and foolish immigration decisions. Now, just days after one of the worst terror attacks in Australia's history, the country's prime minister, who allowed a lot of this to happen, is inexplicably more worried about right-wing extremism. Really? Take a look.
The Director General of Asia has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
This is insane. In other words, nothing in Australia is going to change while he is their leader. And the immigration policies, they will stay the same, but it will probably be even harder for law-abiding citizens in Australia to protect themselves with a firearm. There's strict firearm laws there. My message to Australia, my message to Western Europe, my message to our fellow countrymen here in our country, wake up. Radical Islamists, they are still at war with our very way of life. ISIS continues to lash out. 2 of our brave soldiers ambushed and murdered in Syria. Thankfully, President Trump, somebody understands radical Islamism. You know, he's taken swift action to fight back. Now, we saw this in his last term. He took out Soleimani, Baghdadi, and associates, obliterated ISIS from the air. He dropped the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan. What do they all have in common? Oh, radical Islamists. This year, he took the boldest action to eliminate a nuclear-armed Iran, especially with their radicalism. Far too many Americans. Well, we're going to go to this press conference. It's in Sydney. Let's take it live, and we'll continue on the other side. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.